Now you don't want to sit close to him. But you sit next to him.
Okay, let's just start the fight quick.
He's mean.
Let's start the fight quick. Who was the best Jason?
If you don't get louder, I'm leaving. Goddamn fans.
I never trust him.
They put this shit on.
It's hard to imagine why they don't like you. Goddamn fans.
Damn it. That's why I gotta ask the questions. Don't ask Kane so personally. Ask me. I'm the oldest.
All right, Steve. How did you get involved in Friday
Do you want to hear that story again?
They haven't heard it.
Let me tell you what happened.
Tell me.
I got called one day for a job. There was this guy that they hired to play Jason on the Friday the 13th Part 2. His name was Warrington Gillette. Raise your hand if you haven't heard the story yet. Holy shit. Well, let me tell you what happened.
All right, we'll be right back.
I'm gonna go have a beer.
I was a stunt guy, and Screen Actors Guild was on strike, take a nap. And they hired this guy, Warrington Gillette, to play Jason. Everybody heard of him? Seriously? Yeah. And he was on the set, and the very first day that they were going to shoot with him with all the makeup and everything, because all the makeup was done in California, and they shot it in Kent, Connecticut, and he was going to go through a window. You know, the window at the end of the Friday Part 2? But he said he was a stuntman, but when it turned out that he had to go through the window, he was scared shit. So they said, we're in trouble, we gotta get another Jason. And the guy who was the stunt coordinator, Cliff Cutney, said, I got a guy in New York who fit the costume because they shot some stuff. So he called me up, he says, listen, we're doing this film, it's called Jason. That was the working name, it wasn't Friday the 13th Part 2. He said, we're doing this film, it's called Jason, and we need a guy to play Jason. I said, holy shit, I got a lead role in the film. I got very excited. So I said, really? He said, yeah, the guy they originally hired, he can't do the stunts and he's scared, so we need you to come up here. The producer and director want to meet you to see if you're the right size. I said, okay. I drive all the way up to Connecticut. I walk in, they said, he looks good, take him to wardrobe. So we go to wardrobe, they put the coveralls on me with the shirt, with the plaid thing and everything. I come out, they said, oh, it fits. I said, yeah, it fits. They said, get the shoes. Does he have the shoes on? Because they shot scenes with the shoes. And the shoes were a little too small, and I couldn't get them on. So Cliff said to me, if you don't get the shoes on, you can't get the job. So I squeezed my feet into the shoes. They said, oh, the shoes fit, everything is good. I said, yeah. They said, get the bag. I said, what bag? They said, you know the bag. I said, what are you talking about, bag? He said, well, they put a bag over your head. I said, what bag? You mean they're going to cover my... He says, yeah, the whole deal is you wear this bag, you do kill all these kids that are having sex. And then at the end of the film, then they kill you, they take the bag off, and there's this grotesque face. I said, so my face has covered the whole, everything? He says, yeah. I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I said, let me see the script. They said, you got no lines. I said, what the hell do you mean I got no lines? I got a bag over my head, I got no lines. He said, I told you, all you do is kill kids that are having sex. You don't talk. I said, yo, so I got the lead role in the film with a bag over my head, I got no lines. Here I don't take the job. And here I am, 36 years later, signing autographs for all of you. That's how I got the job. Thank you very much.
I'll get to you guys in 1 second. You told a story.
What did you say?
We'll get to these guys in a second. I have another question for you, sir.
Sure, thank you. Relax.
You told a story in Chicago, sort of why you didn't take Part 3.
Right.
And how maybe these guys wouldn't have had the role.
These guys wouldn't even had a freaking job if it wasn't for me. Because when they did Part 3, I did such a great job in Part 2 that they wanted me to do Part 3. And I said, why do I want it? It was a low-budget film. I did it for Paramount. We shot, it was freezing cold. We didn't stay in campus. We stayed in the camp. The kids, the counselors, they had no heat. It was a terrible low budgeted. Paramount was cheap as shit. So I was working on a soap opera at the time. I was working on A Guiding Light with Kevin Bacon. And they called me and they said, we're going to do part 3. I said, I don't want to do that piece of shit for you. I'm not doing that. So they said, okay, fine. And they got another guy. Had I taken that job, if I would have known then, what I know now, I would have taken the job because I would have made a lot of money like Robert England. Because he was in every freaking Halloween or whatever the hell he was in. What the hell was he in? Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street. Nice fella, you know. You know, I could have been everything, and these guys would have been shit. They're shit anyway. It doesn't matter. Especially Kane, who thinks I've been in every freaking one of them, and they're always doing that bullshit. And this guy underwater, who cares? Go ahead, you can ask them.
All right, CJ and Kane, let's talk a little bit about the makeup process that you guys went through for your respective
I'll be back in about an hour.
Let me wake up first after that. Riveted, yeah. Mine was, at first it was a little more difficult, took several hours, but once it got to the hood, it actually just pulled right over my top. The front of my face was exposed and we just greased it out. So it got real simple within the first 2 or 3 scenes after that point. But at first, as you saw with the grotesque of the face and the teeth and stuff, and the maggots, you know, it was a little edgy, but other than that, it got really easy and simple after that. Until they threw me underwater, then it got more challenging.
So when you have the mask on, there was no makeup.
Did you ask him how he got the job?
No.
No. Because I was waiting to find out how he got the freaking job.
Does anybody here not know how CJ got the job? Raise your hand. Okay.
You gotta help these
Well, I'd like you guys to know that I got the job because Steve didn't take part 3. Thank you. Just gotta make sure it's
Son of a
away.
bitch is okay.
I gotta pay my debt. I am similar to Steve. By the way, you wouldn't have a friggin' job if it hadn't been for me. According to Steve, in his story. But I was the second selection, to be fair to the person that did get it, was stuntman. We did both go out for it at Paramount. Unfortunately, the first days came back and he didn't resonate with the quite physique and what they were looking for from the position. I get a call on Friday, go back, and by Monday morning I was on the way to Covington, Georgia, right down the street, about 35 miles. So, really simply, it is kind of a Cinderella story, you know. But I knew what I was getting into when they pulled me back to Frank Mancuso's office in Paramount. But I actually was the second selection. There's still one scene to be fully fair, the paintball scene, which is still the other actor that did the shot. But at the end of the day, you know, I think I picked it up, and then I kind of passed the baton off to my brother to the left. How'd you get the job? Sorry, I stopped you off. How'd you get the job?
Actually, I wanted to ask both you guys, but you just answered what I was going to ask. Is there anything left in your film that was Warrington? Or, you know, in the final version, nothing?
No, it just...
He never did anything?
He never did anything else. He went through the window and then they sent him home to fight.
Okay.
Serious, no. He couldn't do, there's a stunt where you dive through the window, and it's all, I'm a stunt guy and Kane can tell you, it's all sugar glass. You can't get cut. But he was afraid to do it, so what they had to do is they built a rig. They built a rig and swung him into the window. If you watch the movie, you see he comes through the window, and then they cut, and then he comes out behind the fucking wall. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, no, that was the only thing he did.
And that the paintball is still Dan?
Yeah, the paintball is down where the paintball hits, and it kind of disappears through the film because of water, etc. But if you look, the physical structure of that Jason is a little different than mine. But I understand Dan. I understand Dan is going to be very, very successful behind the camera and with other projects, correct?
Yeah, big stunt coordinator. Yeah, you can tell he didn't have to build
Did
a
you
CG.
say how you got the job? That's what I'm waiting for.
We're getting to
You
it.
guys lose the place all the time. You gotta help these people out. What's the matter with you?
Well, I think a lot of people have heard how I got the job. Have you?
These people didn't
Have you not heard how I got the job? Raise your hand. See,
There you go.
all right.
It's about half, right?
Okay, I did a movie called
Say
Prison.
you're sorry.
No one is crotchety, he's crotchety. I did did a movie called Prison with Ronnie Harlan. We shot it in Wyoming. John Beekler was doing the makeup effects on it. I was the stunt coordinator and I did all the stunts. And at the end of shooting, Beekler said to me that the person who was supposed to play this character for a couple days in a full body makeup can't do it. Do you mind doing it?
Was it Warrington?
I apologize.
Warrington tried out for every job in Boston.
It was actually a makeup effects guy named John Criswell. He was the one that the suit was built on, and he is, I think he's about 5'9", 165, something like that.
You know, I swear to God, I never heard the story.
Really?
All I knew was that Beetle got you the job.
Yeah.
I never heard the particulars. I'm really interested. Can you tell me again?
It's hard to
Sit
say
over
if
here.
it's genuine, but.
Go ahead.
So, Beekler asked me to do it, even though there was no real stunt action involved. He asked me to do it, and I had never done a big makeup like that. It was head to toe, the full body suit, facial appliances, dentures, lenses, and so I said, sure. I'm willing to try anything. So I put the makeup on, took 3.5 hours for everything, and I did just 2 days in the makeup, but I loved acting in that kind of situation because it's a whole different way that you have to act when you have prosthetics over your entire body. And I loved it, and it came across well, and you've probably heard the story that Ronnie Harlan asked me to put live worms all over my makeup so that when I come out of the ground strapped to an electric chair, it would look like my body's rotted and worms are crawling in and out. And I said, sure. And he said, then I want you to kind of break free of the bonds and scream. And I said, well, why don't we put worms in my mouth too? So when I scream, they'll come squirming out and that would look creepy. And he's like, you're not serious, are you? And I said, yeah, I mean, I still don't think there's a big deal. Rinsed them off, put them in my mouth, did it, and it doesn't really show up on the film, but
It's disgusting.
but people liked my enthusiasm. People liked how I worked in the makeup. The following year, he was selected to direct Friday the 13th, Part 7, and immediately said
What happened to your pants?
he wanted. I can't focus. It's called a kilt, yes.
He's got no drawers on either.
I noticed that.
Why are you looking? Let Kane finish.
So you said you wanted to hear it, now you keep interrupting with
I heard this one already 17 times already.
So Beekler said, I want this guy to play Jason. They actually said, well, we're pretty happy with the guy that played Jason in the last movie. And Beekler had to really fight for me because I think, and not just because he's sitting here, I think CJ did a great job as the character. I really do. And
Calm down.
so if it wasn't for Beekler really pushing for me to get the job, I did an audition type thing, a little screen test in a version of the makeup, and I brought in one of my stunt buddies and threw him around and they filmed it. All on Beekler's dime, I found out recently. Just so he could show them what I looked like as Jason on film, and then they said, okay, fine. And because there was a lot of stunts to do in this particular movie, I think that's what helped put me over the edge. Some of the stunts that I did were things that weren't necessarily easy. CJ was on fire in Part 6, and then I did a fully engulfed fire stunt in Part 7, but it was basically Beekler, and then based on that performance, the next 3 directors said, no, I like what he did, so let's keep him there. So I did the 4 in a row.
And it worked for free.
I would have. Because I, unlike Mr. Dash, loved playing the character and would have done it for free. But you turned it down. And thank you for doing
Why
it.
do you gotta touch me? Why you gotta put your hands on me? Don't be touchy.
All right, boys, get back over here. Sorry, apologize. Brothers.
So CJ, talk about the sheriff kill and sort of how that was done.
The scene we're referencing is when I broke the sheriff's back. Two different stunt personnel and the sheriff. And Kane is very familiar because he's done a lot of stunts and done a lot of stunt coordination work. We actually dug a pit and put somebody in it. And if you can imagine the person hanging over the edge right here with their head down, and then the person standing up in front of them and attaching the wardrobe, so now it looks like one body, and the sheriff would just bend right over and back on the other person's ass and legs. And of course the sound effects of the body breaking, just very done clean, very swift. We both have had some powerful, kills, but that one was just so creative. There's no special effects. That's just something they put together, and it's powerful.
Listen to this bullshit. We both did both. What am I? Wood sitting over here? We both. What did we both? I'm here too. I did a lot of stuff.
It went through a window.
With a bag on your head. Sorry.
We both. What are you together?
So Steve, it's sort of a generic question, but since they were talking about some of their favorite kills, what was your
Favorite hair product?
My favorite kill was wheelchair down the stairs backwards with a machete in the head. And that shit about the bag in the tree with the guy in the bag against the tree, that's bullshit stuff. Underwater, who cares underwater? Down the stairs backwards with a machete, that's my favorite kill.
What was one of the most challenging stunts on the show?
Showing up. No, that accident, me personally, I didn't do that stunt. That stunt was done by a guy by the name of Tony Ferrantino, who was James Ferrantino's brother. I don't know if anybody remembers James Ferrantino, but Tony Ferrantino was a stunt guy, and that gag, we call it a gag, that was a wheelchair that they had to tie to a line on the staircase going down. We had to weight the wheelchair. We probably, it took, not me, I can't take credit for building it, but Cliff Cuddy, who was the stunt coordinator, it took about a week to put that thing together, and there was no rehearsals because it was a one-shot deal. So we had about 3 or 4 cameras, and it was in the rain, and we shot. That was very challenging. A lot of engineering went into it.
Tell them about your finger.
Kane is an excellent stunt coordinator. He can tell you that was a tough gag to do.
How you did it, really.
What do you mean, Kane? What about me? I'm over here, dirtbag.
You're shit. All you do is look good because you got a nice body. That's it.
Does anyone
You
know?
notice all the Jasons are 8 feet tall and I'm a normal size. You notice that? And they fly and the whole thing. I don't even do that. I did real stunts. I got hurt. They cut my finger. I got 13 stitches in this finger.
Oh boy.
That's because he's not as good as a stuntman as he thought. He shouldn't have got hurt. He did it right.
13 stitches. I can't imagine that pain.
In your finger.
In one finger.
I think I had like 6 or 7 in my eye a year ago. I mean, I still got a scar. Look,
They didn't even get hurt. I got hurt and everything. And I'm
That's
older.
all.
They're kids. They're shit. They're
Talented.
So Kane, in Jason Takes Manhattan, talk about being Jason in the New York atmosphere. Was it a closed set, or were people walking around? Tell a little bit.
We only shot one night in New York, and that was all the scenes in Times Square. Last year I just celebrated 40 years in stunts and to this day is the most unbelievable day of shooting I've ever had, because we're in Times Square. I'm in the full costume with the hockey mask on, out on the traffic island, and I know it sounds like I'm trying to make it sound better than it was, but there were hundreds of people on all sides. Yeah, probably was thousands, really.
I'm from
On
New York,
all sides,
and I
every
can tell you
street.
there was thousands in Times Square.
And NYPD was holding them back behind barricades because everybody wanted to watch. And I'm out there by myself, and you can imagine just standing there, and I never took the mask off, because in part 8 I could take the mask off between the shots pretty easily, and I had like a cowl, like CJ had. My face was open. but I didn't want to ruin the image for all the people watching, so I never took the hockey mask off. And in between shots, you know, you just imagine you're in the costume, shooting one of the films, people know the character all over the world, you're standing out there by yourself in between shots. I just look over in one direction and fucking start going crazy, cheering, and yelling and stuff. And it
As a result of that, you went on the Arsenio Hall show.
That's right. I did. I went on Arsenio Hall in costume, and before I got into the wardrobe and the makeup and everything, Arsenio came over and said, you know, I know that it probably sounds stupid, but please don't fuck with me because I'm scared to death of your character. So that, you know, if anybody knows my personality, that is the absolute worst thing to tell me. That you're frightened of being the costume, because boy, you're gonna get it now. And at the end, the only thing I was able to do when he went to shake my hand, I grabbed him and pulled him towards me. And his reaction is genuine. He was terrified, jumped up and stood back. But yeah, it was pretty amazing doing that. I did the show again later after Jason goes.
Yeah, he asked me to do it, but I said I didn't want to.
Yeah. And it wasn't as fun the second time, but.
Do you know in between your first and second that I did it? Did you know that? Arsenio Hall show? He sent you a black card, he writes in it, thanks for being on the show?
Yeah.
I got one. Did you know I wore a bag on my head in the scene? It was like, no, I'm serious, I swear. Just for real. Well, you guys are talking so it's true.
I've never heard this actually.
It's a true story. Did you get the card he writes in gold? Thanks for being on the show. How do you think I know about the card? I got one.
Yeah,
There was a
there too.
skit.
I got a card. I got a black card.
Be quiet. Anyway, true story, buddy. There was a skit that they put together in the back of the green room with Jason serving the guests, and Paramount put it together, and they put me back there. They couldn't get the mask and everything. They used a bag.
Is that right?
I swear. I had
And it was what year? Do you know?
after you did your first skit. So I don't know.
I
about
just
your
signed
second.
in '89.
It's a true story.
And wow.
They used a bag.
You're a lying sack
I
of
swear
shit.
to God. I don't want to know about their Arsenio card being in black and saying thank you
I'm
for being
doing
on the
these
show.
goddamn conventions.
Am I right?
For 10 years, you never
Did you
told
get one?
me.
I did. I
So did I. How would I know when you got invited to get one? I got proof and pudding, brother.
Full of shit.
Yeah, this is the first time you're like,
I still have the cards.
You
Yeah.
gotta find the facts out about this stuff. This is bullshit.
I'll research it tonight.
I hope so.
So, Kane, you talked about not removing your hockey mask because you didn't want to ruin it for people. I guess method acting, I've talked to some folks that when they're playing Jason or Michael Myers, they don't want to talk to people. They don't want to talk to the actors that they're going to eventually kill on screen. Any of you guys do that, or do you think it's kind of silly? What are your thoughts on that?
Andy Steele.
We know what he's gonna say.
The whole shoot. The first time I talked to Andy Steele was 25 years later at the 25th anniversary. She wouldn't talk to me during the whole shoot. She thought that was a real bad, you know, the band. She wouldn't talk to me. I said to Cliff, how come she won't talk to me? She said, she's method acting. I said, what are you fucking kidding me? I want to get paid Friday. What do I care? Method acting.
I didn't do it that much as Jason, but I did it as Victor Grahm. I tried to stay away from, especially in the first one, tried to stay away from the cast. And it was more for my entertainment, really, to fuck with them. So mostly, and I mean it's being condescending, but it was mostly the females in the cast were scared to death to face me in the makeup. So I never let them see me, what I looked like in the makeup. Even though they'd seen pictures, they never saw me live in the makeup until they were on camera. And the best scene where that's evident is where I come out and grab Jolie and the belt sander to the face. She was crying, knowing I was right behind her off camera, waiting for the moment where I turn the thing on and she turns around and I sand her face off. And she was so terrified. When she turns around in the movie, she drops to her knees. And she wasn't supposed to do that, so I had to grab her hair and yank her up and ad-lib a little bit. But it was just fun for me to go off into the woods and do some screaming and shit. so that they're thinking, oh my God, this guy's actually not right in the head. So he's going to kill me.
Did they ever see you without the mask on? Because that's horrible. I mean, take a look at that face. He didn't need a mask on.
CJ, how about you? What are your thoughts on
What
that?
was the question?
Nothing, actor, not talking to the actor.
You know what? I didn't, you know, I gotta be fair, I was a greenhorn, so I was, you know, having a good time. I'd be in the back of a truck sleeping, I'd be laying on the ground sleeping, it was the middle of the night. I just waited to get called, and I even got in trouble one time for grabbing a 5K and carrying it with a guy. I didn't know he was supposed to help out, trying to be polite, you know, trying to carry this big ass friggin' lights. Oh, man. I come walking up on the center, you can't do that. Okay, sorry. So I was a little more having fun. I do remember they gave me this big mobile home, and the transportation guys and girls worked so extremely hard 24/7. I let them all come into my place and sleep while I was on set, because I was on set all night. So transportation was using my mobile home to sleep. And when they got back to LA where we did that shoot, they were trying to decide, should we give it to Tanya or should we give it to her? They said, no, just give it to CJ. And so they gave me this big ass mobile home, and I told transportation, get in and get some sleep. So I was a little greenhorn about it, you know. I mean, not arrogant or up or down at these two gentlemen where we're not, but I was really like, hey, what can we do to make it easy for everybody? Success, you know, teamwork.
Which of you had iconic moments playing Jason?
Steve has?
Well, Steve was, just, you know, because I got to help Steve out here a little bit, because he was on Good Morning America, for the record, with Joan
No,
Monday.
I wasn't. They didn't invite
Oh, that was Warren. That's a I got your back. Keep that shit.
They didn't invite me, them bastards. They went
I had to
according
get it
the
back.
screen credit. They went according to the screen credit.
They did, and it was warm, but I was laughing because there were 6 of us on there. It wasn't my brother to my right, it was my brother to the left.
It wasn't me. I wasn't on it.
It was the banker guy.
It was a shit show anyway, wasn't it?
One of your iconic scenes, CJ, is the RV scene where it flips over and is it the door that you punch open?
Yeah, what we do is, you know, they flip it, and of course, I didn't have anything to do with that. Then they get me inside, they undo the hinges. I stepped up on a couple crates, and I just hit it with closed fists because I have the gloves on, and enough power, it flew. I mean, it flew.
What was that special effects that made
No,
it?
it flew with my muscles, big guy. Right? You gotta look at these. These are real guns, okay? Look at this.
He's
These guns.
masturbating too much, that's it. Just what I'm saying.
That's my goal. But with the gloves,
Special effects.
I
Those
actually,
guys, they
that
did
wasn't
special
really
effects. I
That
didn't do
was-
special effects. I did everything myself.
Well, we didn't have to be swinging around inside a little thing like an angel going back and forth. You know, we got hit, right? But it did. It flew up, and it amazed me how far it went too. And then I just stepped out because I was on the boxes, like I said. So I kind of had a running stop or squatted as I hit that, and I just stepped right out. And they said go to the end of the mobile home, and I did. I just stood there until they said cut.
It's an amazing show. Kane, let's talk about Jason X. Where did the whole concept of Uber Jason come from? Also,
Uber Jason.
and also, do you think that Jason X followed the sort of pattern of when a horror film goes to space and sort of
It seemed to, yeah,
jumps the
it's a sharp
shark?
moment, but yeah. I don't know where it came from, and you know, I've told this story before, but they said, hey, we're doing, after Jason goes down, they said, we're doing another one, it's going to be called Jason X, because it's the 10th one. And I said, great. And they said, yeah, it's Jason in space. I said, that's a good one. What is it, really? It's Jason in space. Okay, I heard it the first time, it wasn't really that funny. What is it? Jason in space. Oh, fuck. So I wasn't crazy about the idea, but what I did was figured I'd make Jason consistent with everything I've done before, regardless of the set. So I figured it's not my choice. I'm sure as hell not going to turn it down because I love playing the character, so I'll just do whatever I can. Try and make him the same way, even though he's in a spaceship. And you know, at least there's the frozen head kill in there. That's a pretty good one.
And you were a little upset that you killed David Cronenberg, correct?
Well, yeah, I wanted to have more of a hands-on kill for Cronenberg because I was a fan of his, and I thought it was very cool that he was in the movie. And you know, it's like there's two guys that played cops in Jason Goes to Hell that were huge morning DJ guys. They was Mark and Brian. They were big morning guys for many years in LA, and Mark was a huge fan of horror, so he got them into the film, and then they ended up being killed by Jason when he was another form, and somebody else, and they were so disappointed. Brian was anyway, that it wasn't me killing them, it was somebody else who had the evil of Jason inside them at the time, which I didn't care for that whole idea because I didn't work that much in the film.
It seemed the more they went, the less they got away from like the camp with the campers around, and I always wondered why they did that. What was the point of the root story was campers around, CJ had campers around, but your films really didn't have that aspect to it.
I guess they were worried that people wouldn't want to see the same old thing, which I think would have been better had they done the same type of setting with some different ideas within the story. But you start thinking, oh no, fans are tired of the camp and start to do other stuff, then it starts getting a little crazy.
Speaking of famous people that were killed by Jason, Rorschach from Welcome Back, Hodder was, I believe, your first victim. So, what was he like on set?
He was very charismatic. The sad thing about that scene is even though it's a nice scene, in those days you couldn't have as much gore as they do today's. The actual shot of the heart coming out, even though you see the heart momentarily, the heart is pumping and the blood starts coming out. So it was a very cool shot, and it ended up on the ground, of course. And in those days, they didn't can everything like they do today for future distribution. So once it hits the ground, it's gone. But Rorschach, it was great. I mean, for a person of that magnitude coming in and had such a tremendous series in the 70s and stuff, he was down for it like everybody else, and he was doing his thing, but he had some good charisma on set. And it was my first scene that I got to see him in action. So it was exciting.
I got a question for both of you guys, if you remember. The very first...
I remember, he may not.
Yeah.
30 years ago,
He
36
doesn't
years
remember
ago.
where he is right now, but what was the very first shot that you did as Jason? Very first shot.
I don't mind, go ahead, sir.
I don't remember.
All right. So the very first scene is the director telling me to step in front of camera, 90-degree profile with the mobile home behind me moving, and me turning sideways and looking at it and start walking towards the front door. And I remember him telling me to put my lats out, and all I want to see is your back as big as it is as you take off to go after that mobile home, as you've noticed. And I still remember my very first scene, which is about halfway through the movie. So that's where I stepped into it, because they do jump left and right and upside and down the side when you're shooting a film. So,
But the very first shot would be...
very first shot would be camera lens coming on my left side, left profile, and you see my head, a hockey mask, and then you see the trailer behind it.
Right. That's pretty cool to think that, the very first thing you ever did officially as Jason.
You'll always remember that.
And like CJ's saying, everything is done completely out of order of the way the film is. My very first shot, and I didn't tell people this for 20 years, just because I thought it was kind of cool to keep to myself, but Tina has a vision while they're in the house at the party of me stabbing Bill Butler through the body with a tent stake, and we're in the kitchen. And that is the very first shot I ever did as well.
I really, honest to God, I don't remember the first shot.
Moving on, next question.
I really don't. I don't know what I did yesterday, so
This is why we give him so much respect, because he forgot 10 minutes ago. It's all love, okay?
Kane, were you a fan of the franchise prior to playing Jason?
I was a huge fan, yeah.
Okay, so coming into the first time you're portraying Jason, you have Laura coming in as Tina, that actually gives Jason a run for his money. What was that like, that you had a formidable adversary rather than just fodder?
Yeah, I mean, it was totally different storyline by that point, and it really appealed to me because of so many stunts that I had to do as the character. And so from, I still had the stunt person's mentality, that I just love doing stuff like that. So that now I'm not only doing everything I love, but I'm also playing the character that is the main focus of the film. It was just incredible. And I still can think back to the feeling I had when I was on the set, saying, holy shit, there's people around the world, literally, that know this character, and I'm wearing the fucking mask. Can you imagine how unbelievable that would feel? Because 6 films, you know, it probably wasn't the same feeling back in the first and second because nobody knew about it as much. But you get through 6 films.
It was in all seriousness, Frank Mancuso, who was the executive producer for Paramount, Frank Mancuso's father was the guy who was running Paramount at the time. And they gave him $900,000 and they said, here, take your first project. So he gets a young guy by the name of Steve Miner to direct it. He did something to do with the first film, but I don't know what. And then they got a guy by the name of Dennis Murphy, who was another producer on it. So these guys were their first real film, and me being the Jason character, you know, I kid around about, you know, the bag on my head, but you know, it was a development thing. How are you going to do? You know, they wanted me to run a certain way. I said no, I'd rather lope. I didn't want to run. I felt like running was not the thing, you know, so we had a discussion about that. Also, you know, it was a development of the character itself at the time, you know, and at the time I wasn't thinking about it because I was a stunt guy. I wasn't an actor. I mean, I was kind of an actor, but mostly stunts, and I'm thinking stunts. And when you're a stunt guy, you do stunts, and an actor does acting, you know, so it was a combination of both, and I was trying to get that in my head, that that's what I was doing, and the only time that it really came to reality with me, that I was a character, was when we were in Jason's lair, and Amy had this conversation about, Jason, this is your mother. I guess you all know the scene where she tries to kill him with a machete. And they wanted to use a stunt girl. Cliff wanted to use a stunt girl with the machete because they said it would be kind of dangerous. But Steve Miner, the director, said, no, we're going to use Amy. We're going to teach her how to use the machete to come down. But when she started to utter those words to me, Jason, this is mommy talking, I really started to feel like a character then, behind the bed, looking at her. And I felt like they wanted something because they were. The point I'm trying to make is that I had to develop, and I wasn't intentionally developing the character. I was just being Jason. And I didn't even realize that I was being Jason. So it was kind of different for them guys because they had already seen different Jasons and they had an idea. Not that I'm taking anything away from them, I'm not.
You've been doing it all night. Why stop now?
I was talking with you, okay?
Forgot. See what I said?
So, in my research, Friday the 13th, the franchise is second only for longevity and amount of people playing the same character to James Bond. So, talk about, you know, bringing something different to a character to keep progressing with the times. You know, did you take things that maybe Steve did, or did you just want to be a totally different character, you know, in that respect?
I mean, I did, once I got the job, I went back and watched all the films again, just to see what little moves that other guys did that I thought was cool, and maybe keep in mind when I'm developing my version. And the only thing that I always fought, because now by part 7, because of the look and everything, Jason was more of a zombie and not a human. So I fought every film, I fought the idea of Jason running, because it just didn't seem right to me to have Jason run ever. In any of the 4 that I did, it just never seemed right, even though he wasn't so much of a zombie in Jason X. I don't know, it seemed to take me out of it when I would see Jason run. So that was my big thing, and then, as you probably heard before, I put the the makeup on once as a test over at Baker's. And I looked in the mirror and I stared at myself and I said, what looks terrifying and like I'm about to do something any second, but when I'm just still basically motionless. And that's when I tried doing the breathing thing, because if you're in the full makeup and you're staring like this, that's one thing, but then if you're suddenly staring and then going, to me it looks like, holy shit, this guy's about to explode any second, even though he's just motionless staring. So that's when I incorporated the breathing thing, which I think worked the best in part 7 especially, but I did it throughout. But I just, I did probably subconsciously take things that some of the previous guys did, because I respected everyone else that played the character, except Ari, but no, I'm kidding. He played the character for 10 seconds. 8 seconds. Hey, he's the first, you can't deny it, but yeah, so that's just how I kind of developed it.
I mean, myself, I actually looked at the films before, tried to get a structure, and my director was pretty adamant. Again, being a greenhorn, I was paying attention when I was being told, and wasn't looking for quite the zombie factor. It was more of the Frankenstein factor of the old Boris Karloff days, the curiosity factors, but the powerful force that was unstoppable. No matter what you put in front, that person was going to go through it. And it wasn't meant to be too robotic, but at the same time curiosity, but the power. So my image, I kind of created just taking a look at the others and then through direction of Tom McLaughlin. And it is what it is as you look back and take a look at it today.
And I wore a patch on my eye prior to shooting to get used to working with one eye, because I knew I was running in the woods. I tried running, but the branches would hit me in the face and stuff. So what I did is I went to CVS, I bought a patch. I wore it for about 3 or 4 days before we started shooting so I could get used to losing my peripheral vision. And I'll tell you all a little secret, guys. They went to the hockey mask because the bag that I wore, I had to put double-faced tape on it over here to hold the eye close so I could see where I was going, because otherwise it would flop. And I developed burns on my face from the double-faced tape, and I think that's the reason why they actually went to the hockey mask in the other films, is because it was a hindrance. And I suffered so much. I was in such pain.
Probably can't imagine getting burned, really.
No, they couldn't even look at this guy's face. He's handsome, that guy's ugly.
Hey, there's one person up here that, of the 4 of us, who has a prior history as a Chippendales dancer. Does
That's
anybody
right.
know that? No, up on here. Oh. My brother CJ was a Chippendales dancer, and I have pictures to prove it. Yes?
I worked at Chippendales in Culver City in about 84, 85. Shoot, it was pretty cool.
He's so gorgeous.
So I have 2 more questions, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. CJ, talk about the underwater scene and how that was filmed.
We filmed that back in LA, and we used an Olympic-sized swimming pool. They dropped a black felt around it to give it that darkness. They put all my safety divers in 1/4 inch, if I recall, wetsuits. They dropped me down in just normal wardrobe. That's a real chain around my neck, and they stood me on a center block 20 feet down. And as you look at the chain, you can see it's actually on. And Kane knows from experience that you don't, but he does from experience that all I could do was, I was screwed if I didn't get air. So when you signal to your safety divers to come in, they would actually just pull my mask up and shove a regulator in my mouth. And then the safety divers started to complain about being cold. And eventually they pulled me up to the surface and said, it's time to get out. Are you okay? Because the safety divers are getting cold. And once your body gets to a certain numbness, it's like, fine. And we went down several times and finished a shot that night. They started bringing me up there a little bit just to look over the edge so I could see a small monitor to see how it looked and how it could twist a little bit. And Tom went down there actually, the young man who played Tommy Jarvis, who played Tommy Matthews, his name, played Tommy Jarvis. He went down and he did some of his own scenes before the stuntman came down for some of the longer scenes to work with me. So kudos to him because he was down there with me quite a bit of time. But it was interesting with that chain around your neck, and it kept me down between that and standing on the center block. Just kept me off the bottom enough so we could do the scene upward shot, so you couldn't see anything above the water.
Kane, was yours similar?
Well, mine was, we shot for about 4 weeks in Los Angeles to do all the interiors of the film. Then we went to Bay Minette, Alabama, and shot all the exteriors for the next month. The last 2 days of shooting were the underwater things for the beginning of my film to match the end of his. And I even had the same kind of gloves on at the very beginning underwater that you ended with. And then they tried to make it look like I had been under there so long that the gloves rotted off and everything. I'm not sure if that was really conveyed, but the last 2 days of shooting, I was already pretty exhausted, and I put all the makeup on. It's foam latex, the entire bodysuit, all the way to my ankles. Foam latex, and Beekler said, jump in, and I jumped in and went, floated right on top, because foam latex is so full of air bubbles. So they were like, oh shit, we thought you were gonna sink. And I said, no, I'm not. So the safety divers had to take and attach a cable on the bottom of the pool. We were in a pool also, diving pool where they teach scuba diving and stuff. They put a cable attached to the bottom and then looped it around my ankle, because when I would go underwater, I would stay perfectly upright because I wanted so badly to float up and then do this. So they held my ankle down, and I went under with the regulator like CJ had with the safety divers, and I would breathe while I could hear. I don't know if you had. No, I could hear I could hear Beekler speaking outside of the pool. He spoke on a mic, and I could hear underwater perfectly.
I couldn't. It was an Olympic pool 20 feet down, but I could hear the camera tick, 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 tick. When I heard the camera, it was time to act, and they just kept it running until I needed air.
Oh, wow. Well, I just was able to hear Beekler say, okay, we're ready, we're rolling. They'd come in, take my regulator, I'd put the mask on, pose, do the things. Sometimes the shots were really long, panning shots down the chain, down to what appeared to be the rock and everything. And so it took 2 days to shoot all that underwater stuff. And a couple times I felt like I had to call the divers in because I was running out of air, because if you don't get that regulator back, you're screwed, because I'm attached. He was held down by the chain. My chain was plastic, but I was attached by my ankle. So if you look closely, I think in the film you can see when they pan down, you can see the cable on the side of my leg. It was a very difficult way to end shooting. And I had recently at a convention had somebody say that they went to where we shot all the exteriors of the movie, and it's like a tourist attraction now. And part of the pier is still there supposedly, and they had a tour guide that says, okay, right in this area of the lake is where Kane did all the underwater stuff. And I'm like,
They said Kane or Jason?
they said me. Yeah. This is where he was underwater doing all the shots, and I'm like, oh, I hate to tell you, that was in a pool. It wasn't anywhere near the lake. Then he said, well, they said when you stand up out of the water and first take that breath and the camera's behind, you see my spine and everything. They said that happened right over here at the lake, and I'm like, oh boy, you're getting some bad information, because that was done in pickup shots in Los Angeles, and I was standing in 2 inches of water. When I stand up out of that water, they roll the camera and they throw a bucket of water on me, and then I stand up so it's all dripping off. But I wasn't even in water. So it's interesting how they get misconceptions and try and, profit off of something that wasn't even accurate.
Like Steve.
All right, we have time for a couple of questions from the audience. Who has a question after each gentleman?
Yes, he does have Chippendales pictures. Oh.
We all know, and Kane, I have a feeling after reading your book that your answer is going to be nothing. So that's a prediction. We all know what an amazing job you do scaring people. What are each one of you afraid of?
Nothing.
I'm afraid of Steve.
Everybody's afraid of Steve. He's fucking live wire. I've always said nothing, and it's because, none of the typical things. But I recently did a thing with Adam Green called Scary Sleepover, not too recently, and he asked me, he said, seriously, try and tell me something that actually scares you. I thought, man, I've tried so many interviews, and I was actually, at this point in my life, able to come up with something, and it's not a fun answer, and it's not gonna give people laughter or anything like that, but I was able to finally come up with something that scares me, and it's dementia.
I have that, it's not bad.
I think that's a very frightening thing to imagine living with someone your entire life, and you get to the point where you don't recognize them. That's fucking terrifying.
Well, my wife, she's over there, I don't recognize her half the time. Right there?
So I, to be honest, I mean, weren't you on a paranormal show for a while?
Yeah. Well, I did an episode.
An episode, Ghost Adventures. That shit scares me because at the end of what I can't control, because I can fuck you all up, I can control that. But I can't
As a group, you will too.
as something like that I can't control and see and touch. Again, I'm here if it's true of that. That's scary shit.
And that's why I've always had that interest, and that's why this is my ghost hunting group. You guys probably know Hollywood Ghost Hunters. Has people that, you know, everyone in the group has something to do with making horror films. So I thought it was an interesting group of people to go on official investigations. And we've gone all over the world to most of the classic places. And it doesn't scare me, but it really interests me. And I want something to happen just so I can experience
Be
that.
scared.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. And unfortunately, I think there's a huge factor of exaggeration when people do paranormal investigating. And sometimes I think it's even inadvertent. They want to have a story. So the smallest incident that happens, they almost unconsciously make it into something more than it is. And I'm very, very careful about making sure it's something that couldn't have another answer to it. And so for that reason, I've never experienced anything really that good, but I'm still interested in it. And maybe if something happens, it will scare the shit out of me. I don't know, but I want that to happen.
I'm really scared of snakes. Scared shitless. I'm
Shouldn't
not
have told me
kidding.
that.
It's awful. I have this phobia.
Stay out of the room
It's
today.
terrible. And if you come near me with a snake, I'll kill you.
There's a 1/4-inch gap in your door, buddy.
Scared, don't do that to me.
I
It's
love
a scary
snakes.
thing.
I love them. I used to catch them as a kid and keep them as pets. And you know, I think they're
I don't know why I
fascinating.
told him that. I'm an idiot. I'm a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
I gotta be out of my mind.
Because sometimes some of the vendors have snakes at these shows. And I'm gonna get a big old boa constrictor and come over and put it on your neck. From behind, yeah. Wouldn't that be great?
I have a question.
I am a fucking idiot. You know,
You won't get an argument from us.
Primarily for Kane. You served in the position of a stunt coordinator many times in films. Maybe you can explain what a stunt coordinator does. I mean, obviously coordinates the stunts, but is it the director comes to you and explains what he wants and you figure out how to do it, or what is it?
Yeah, let me answer part of it.
Okay.
He keeps my ass alive with the stunts that I do because he's the expert, the perfectionist, so that we don't get cuts on our finger like he do. But no, sincerely, that, you know, they coordinate all the stunts, but this is the person that keeps the rest of us alive on the set. The stunt coordinator, he's the general, is what it is. So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I mean, I love being in that position because it's not only creative where you get to try and make a scene look as exciting as you possibly can, but still make it reasonably safe. And that one of the best talents as a stunt coordinator that you can possess is when a director, especially on some of the big action movies I've worked on, like Enemy of the State and Gone in 60 Seconds and Lethal Weapon and stuff, sometimes the directors get really crazy with what they want to shoot. And it becomes an art to saying, okay, that's great, even though what they're coming up with, you know in your mind is impossible, somebody's gonna get killed, you can't say that, because a lot of directors are very insecure. So you have to say, oh, that sounds great. And then the wheels start turning and you have to come up with a way to present it back to them that's safer, but not present it because it's safer. Say, that sounds good, but what if we did this? How would that look? In your mind, you're saying, we gotta do it this way because somebody will get killed, but you have to present it as if you're making the shot even more exciting. So it's kind of a tightrope that you walk in that way. But then, when you're a stunt coordinator on a film, you also get to pick and choose the stunts that you want to do. So you often take the best stunts for yourself because you want to do them, you know. And some of the scariest times are when you have a stunt that must be the actor or actress in the scene, and it's not a stunt that they're doing, but if something goes wrong, they could get seriously fucked up. And a good example of that is a movie I did with Adam Green called Frozen. And it's about 3 kids that get stuck on a chairlift for days. And there's no way down, it's too far to jump, all that. It's a pretty well done movie. And at the end of the movie, the only survivor is the girl. She's barely alive, she crawls through the snow, and Adam says, okay, what I want to do is have the actress laying in the road, on the icy road, it's snow everywhere, the road is icy, and I want a car to slide like it's going to hit her and then go around her. And she's not going to be looking. And I'm like, holy shit, it's downhill. I have to bring in a stunt guy to do it because I need to be there for safety, watching. So the stunt driver has to come down an icy road, the actress is laying in the road looking the other direction. He has to slide this way and then correct and go around her and then stop. And very, very difficult move to do, so I brought one of my buddies named Merrick Yonka from LA to do the stunt. I used to work for him a lot on Nash bridges, and he worked for me on films and stuff. But he did it perfectly, and it was just one of those things, man. Because if you have the actor that sees if something's going wrong and can get out of the way, it's a little bit easier. But when she is barely conscious and in her acting mode, doesn't want to look at the car, and you have to slide, and then, you know, you gotta make it look close too, to make it look exciting. So that kind of stuff is some of the most nerve-wracking, but it's just, I love coordinating stunts because of the creativity.
Well, let me just say this in all seriousness, because I take stunts very seriously, because I was a stuntman in probably 40 films and so, never a stunt coordinator, and I'll tell you why, because I didn't want that kind of responsibility. It's a tremendous amount of responsibility for safety and for the people that are working for you, the stunt guys, to get the right guy for the right jobs. Stunt coordinators have a tremendous amount of responsibility. And I'll tell you something that you don't know, Kane didn't mention it, you know, you just don't get a job. You gotta get a script, they shop out scripts, a film will shop out a script, the stunt coordinator will get the script, read the script, figure out where all the stunts are, put a budget on it, and they'll give the director the budget or the producers the budget, and they're gonna pretty much hold them to that budget. If he turns around and says, well, this budget for these stunts is gonna be $600,000, it better not be $600,001 because they're on his ass constantly. So it's his responsibility to get stunt guys that can do that particular stunt. I may be good with water, I'm no good with fire. I may not do over 3 stories as a fall, the most I'll do is 3 stories. I may be a great driver. So the stunt coordinator has to have a group of people that he can count on, so when he goes in and does that stunt, not only does he make the budget so he can get another job some other time, because whatever you do is going to follow you in the next film. Because if you did a job and you stuck to your budget, nobody got hurt, everything went off, and they didn't have to shoot it 18 times, and that's the other thing that a director will tell a stunt coordinator. How many cameras do we need? We're going to shoot this once, we're going to shoot it twice. That was the reason I worked a lot, because usually I did stuff where 2 takes, maybe 3, and I got it right. Didn't cost him a lot of money. So it's all about dollars and cents, one, and secondly, like I said, he's a great stunt coordinator. He does a great job. I would never want that responsibility. I'm always the low guy. I'll take the stunts, give me the stunts, I'll work and go home.
And like he's saying about the budget, that I didn't really get into, you have to look at a script and break down every stunt and then say, this is how much this is going to cost. And each individual stunt, and then you have to anticipate how many takes that could possibly do, because there's something the stunt coordinator does at the end of every shooting day on a film is give all the stunt players a stunt adjustment, which is extra money based on what you did that day. So the guy that flipped the car is going to make a lot more that day than the guy that did a little football. So it's incredibly hard to try to anticipate what a stunt adjustment. So this guy's going to fall down the stairs, so I'm going to give him an extra $700 for the day falling down the stairs. Then you get to it and something happens and he has to go down 5 times. Now you can't just give him $700 because he did the stunt 5 times. And then you have to adjust that, give him more that day. Now you've got less for the rest of the film. You might have to try and adjust other things. And because you don't want to do stunt takes over and over, but sometimes it just happens. And especially with commercials. But those are shorter shoots, so it's easy to budget. But you know, you're going to shoot over 3 months and you've got 100 stunts. It's very hard to budget. And like Steve says, you got to stick to that budget, or else those producers have no interest in hiring you in the next film because you went over. So it's hard to keep it safe, keep it exciting, and you know, stay on budget.
Because they're going to tell you what they're shooting the film for. They'll say, you know, we've got a film we're shooting, it's $3 million, give us a budget. You want to get the job, so they got to go in with the right budget, you know. It's a lot of responsibility. You got to give a stunt coordinator a lot of credit for that responsibility.
Yeah.
All right, you feel good about the answer? Next. Holy shit, you come back with that. Look at this, man.
That's actually all the time we have, gentlemen.
Hey,
Thank you very much.
man.
Put your hands together for CJ Graham and Steve Nash and Kane Hodder.